distribution benefit or system is going to also target people in the rural areas. It is a law now, so it is for every Ugandan. Whether you are in Takwi, whether you are in Kachabali, whether you are in which village, these people have that village called Kachabali. Just inform everybody that whoever wants to subscribe voluntarily, you have the liberty. So it is not only targeting people in the urban centers, it is for all Ugandans. Okay. Whoever feels wants to contribute, you can. And then the other person was saying, what happens to those who have actually failed to secure national IDs? This national ID issue has become a very big problem to very many people, and yet I don't know what problem NIDA has. They have made our children move year in, year out. They cannot secure these national IDs. I think at one point in time, the responsible person in government must tell Uganda what is happening with securing national IDs for those who did not secure them in the first instance.
Don't you think that you too, the unions for workers, should have a contribution in this, because your members are missing?
We are going to raise it at that level, because now it has become an eye catcher. One of the requirements for you to access even the midterm benefit is you must have a national ID. And we are very well aware that there are very many people who do not have these national IDs, not because of their own fault, but by fault of NIDA not issuing them. So we are going to raise this with the responsible minister to ensure that they fast track the problem, whichever problem is existing with NIDA. To issue people, because they have needs, and this is a law that requires somebody to first have a national ID to access. So if the national ID is becoming a stumbling block, then we must find ways of how to sort it out.
On that issue of why is it very difficult, I think Nssf is not making it difficult for people to access this money. I know when this amendment came in and the workers and under their unions were demanding for midterm access, there was a struggle. Nssf had some statements saying that the fund will collapse once midterm access is allowed. We went and did our research, and we found out the number of people who are in that bracket of 45 years, and those ones who would have worked for 10 years, because the requirement to get midterm access is you have to have made 45 years, and you should have saved with a fund for 10 years. When we made our assessment, we actually found that Nssf was very much able to pay this benefit without the fund collapsing. Because you should take in mind that Nssf gets income every month. Each and every month, money is being emitted to Nssf in trillions. Secondly, Nssf has assets, very key assets that are bringing in income. They have invested the workers' money, and that is a requirement by law to invest the money, because you are not supposed to keep that money redundant. So all those investments are there. So that argument and struggle was defeated by figures that were presented by the trade unions. So what need the next was the regulations, which regulations have finally come out. And there are just a few things that need to be ironed out. But I know if you have an Nssf ID, it's also good enough. The only thing is, how do we identify you as the true person? That is where the problem comes in of IDs. Now, Nssf, as my brother Moses says, has made a lot of changes, various changes, in order to people to access money. I think it's not very true, and I think it's very unfair to the management of Nssf to say that people cannot access that money. It's because people have not been given this information. But when you go to these offices, I was a witness in 2020. I helped someone to get money, and I was surprised that person was able to get money in 15 days. And what was required? What was required was only to walk into an Nssf office. They would give you forms, you fill out those forms with your ID and give the details. You give the details also of your bank where you want that money to go. And then the other requirements, maybe a photograph and so on, they were very, very limited to get. And within 15 days, that person has accessed the money. But maybe sometimes we really think it's impossible. But this was very, very, very possible. With 15 days, of course, you allow that because of verification process and so on, to verify. And as we said, the money is not there redundant. The money is invested. But the beauty of it and why they give those 15 days, because income comes in monthly. Monthly. Employers have to remit that money monthly. So there should not be that argument that we have no money at all. You have to apply for it. It's a process. You apply, and at the end of the day, you give them your bank, and they put the money on your account. So they still do that. I wanted to also add something on this, on the issue of COVID versus midterm access. I think there's a miscap there. Many people tend to think that midterm access was a result of COVID, which is not true. The trade unions have been for several years had brought proposals of amending the Nssf Act, and one of the issues was midterm access. So it's not true that the midterm access is a result of COVID, and people could not get COVID money or relief from Nssf because there was no enabling law. The law that was there at the moment had no provision for getting midterm access. We have no provision in our laws that cushion us on maybe medical issues or on pandemics, epidemics, all that. They are not covered under our Nssf Act. So that is why it was very, very, very difficult, even for government, if it had that goodwill, to pay that money during COVID. And that's why through our workers' MPs and the trade unions were able to push the midterm to include midterm access in the amendment to cushion such issues for people to use that money even before retirement. Because the former law was very clear. You only get the money on retirement, or if you die, maybe the estate gets that money, or when you have a disability that does not enable you to be employed anymore. So I thought I would clarify on that. With midterm access, you're just getting 20% of your money. It's not that you're getting all your money. So the other 80% is still there. And this money is still being invested. This money is still getting an interest. So you still have money. But this midterm access will help you, and we request workers to use this money wisely. Use it, maybe there are people who want to educate their children in university. That's an investment. There are people who want to start up some investments as they work. Use this money wisely. Don't just eat it. So for me, that's my counseling to people. And don't get this money because you just want to get the money. You should plan properly for this money. When we have talked to our workers, different people have different opinions. There are those who even don't want to get this money at all, the midterm. So it's not a must that everyone will go out for that midterm access. No. Others are thinking that, let me leave my money to get interest, and at the end of the day when I'm retiring, I will get it. So we should not look at it as a must to access the midterm access.